Captain Velter braced his upper forearms against the icy metal of the control panel. Overhead, flickering lights danced across his insectoid features, casting jittery shadows across his mantis-like face. His compound eyes shimmered with reflections of the red warning lights that pulsed across the bridge of the celestial dawn. "How long do we have?" he asked, his voice steady despite the dread rising inside him. Zixes, the ship's engineer, a small, blue, lizard-skinned creature, didn't look up from her terminal. Her hands moved fast, almost frantically. "Maybe 6 hours, Captain. The life support systems are tanking fast. Oxygen's dropping, and the main power core's beyond repair. It's toast." Velter scanned the faces around the bridge. His crew wasn't trained for this. They were researchers, not warriors. Scientists, technicians, thinkers, none of them had signed up to die drifting in the void. 3 days ago, they were en route to Coalition HQ, hauling critical research data and samples when pirates ambushed them. It wasn't a robbery, they didn't want cargo. They just wrecked the ship and fled, leaving them to slowly suffocate in deep space. "Any word back from the distress signal?" Velter asked. Glix, their communications officer, shook his gelatinous, slug-like body in defeat. "Nothing, Captain. We've been broadcasting non-stop, but there's no one close enough. Coalition ships are days out. They won't make it." Velter's heart sank. He was responsible for all of them, for their lives, and for what was hidden in the lower storage bay. The real reason their mission was high security. Deep inside the celestial dawn was a weapon. Not just any weapon, a device capable of annihilating entire star systems. A secret prototype built by the Coalition military. It was never meant to be used, just transported and locked away forever. But if it fell into the wrong hands? "Captain," Glix said quietly, breaking the silence. "There might be one other option." Velter turned. "What do you mean?" Glix's tentacles twitched. "The Sol system, it's only 2 days out. We could try broadcasting to the humans." The entire bridge went silent. Everyone knew about humans. They were the stuff of whispered legends, a species quarantined for half a century. Monsters from a death world where survival meant evolving into the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. Every report about first contact had ended in disaster. The Coalition had deemed them too violent, too unpredictable. And so, Earth was locked away, its systems sealed off like a ticking bomb. "They were banned from galactic society for a reason," Velter muttered. "They're unpredictable. Dangerous. We don't know what they'd do if we contacted them." "They might kill us," Zixes admitted, "but they're our only shot. No one else is close enough." Velter's mind raced. He remembered the disastrous diplomatic mission, the destroyed station, the casualties, the panic that followed. The decision to exile Earth was unanimous. "They might just take our ship and leave us to die," he said. "We're dying anyway," Glix replied quietly. "At least this way, there's a chance." Velter looked around again. Zixes was starting to lose color. Her blue skin turning pale gray from oxygen depletion. 2 others had collapsed at their consoles. He didn't have time to argue. He had to choose. "Do it," he said at last. "Send the signal." Glix nodded and began typing. "What should I say?" "Just give our location. Tell them we need help. Don't mention who we are. Don't mention the cargo." The message was simple: ship in distress. Life support failing. Immediate rescue required. They waited. The hours crawled by. The air grew thinner. More crew members collapsed. Velter's vision blurred. Then Glix suddenly straightened. "Captain, response incoming." "From the Coalition?" "No. From a human ship." Velter's hearts jolted. A mixture of relief and cold fear flooded his veins. How long until they arrive? Glix blinked his eye stalks. 4 hours. Velter stared. That's impossible. No ship travels that fast. I know, Glix whispered, but they're already en route. I'm picking up their drive signature now. It's... Captain, they're moving faster than anything I've ever seen. That ship should have torn itself apart. On the scanner, a single ship blazed through the darkness, violating every known law of physics. What kind of vessel is it? Velter asked. I've never seen anything like it, Glix murmured. Heavily armed. Extremely advanced. It's terrifying. Velter closed his eyes. He had reached out to the most dangerous species in the galaxy, and they were coming. Prep the crew, he said. We're about to meet the Deathworlders. Exactly 4 hours later, the human ship arrived. She was massive, dark gray, bristling with weapons. Not a ship designed for rescue. A ship designed to win wars. The ship identifies itself as Iron Resolve, Glix said. They're requesting permission to dock. Velter laughed bitterly. Like we have a choice. Let them dock. The docking maneuver was flawless. Too flawless. These were not savages. The airlock cycled. Heavy boots echoed in the corridor. The bridge door opened, and the humans entered. They were tall. Broad. Predatory in the way they moved. Their leader, a woman with short-cropped black hair and a jagged scar across her face, stepped forward. Her armor gleamed like forged night. She was terrifying. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Amy Brooks, she said. Her voice was calm. Controlled. But it carried weight. We received your distress call. We're here to help. Velter straightened instinctively. I'm Captain Velter. Thank you. My crew is dying. We know, Brooks replied. Our med team is already working. Dr. Grant will have them stabilized within the hour. How did you get here so quickly? Velter asked. Brooks gave a small, cold smile. We have our ways. Now, Captain, we need to talk about your cargo. Velter froze. They knew. He didn't know how, but the humans knew about the weapon. His arms trembled as he stared at the human commander. This armored predator standing calmly in the middle of his dying ship. Brooks stepped closer. Let's not waste time, she said. We know you're carrying something dangerous. Something that made pirates attack a peaceful research vessel. I don't know what you mean, Velter replied, trying to keep his voice steady. We're just scientists. Brooks didn't blink. My team is already scanning your ship. We've detected unusual energy readings from your storage bay. Captain. It's time to tell the truth. Before he could reply, another human stepped onto the bridge. She was smaller. Unarmed. Kind-eyed. She carried a medical bag and moved with gentle urgency. I'm Dr. Lisa Grant, she said. I need to treat your people. Now. You want to help them? Velter asked, unsure. Of course. That's why we're here. Grant knelt beside Zixas, who lay slumped at her station. She scanned the engineer's vitals, pulled out an injector, and administered a dose of something unfamiliar. Velter stepped forward. Wait. How do you know how to treat her? You've never even seen our species before. Dr. Grant smiled. We've studied quite a few alien species, Captain. More than you'd guess. Within moments, Zixas's color began returning. Her breathing deepened. The transformation was unbelievable. Velter whispered, "This is impossible. Your medicine shouldn't even work on us." Human medicine is flexible, Dr. Grant said, already treating the next crew member. We've had to adapt to extreme biological diversity. Alien biology is just another variable. As Grant moved, the ship suddenly came to life around them. Systems powered up. Broken consoles flickered online. Somewhere, the sound of cutting tools rang out. Brooks turned to Velter. My engineers are fixing your systems. Chief Rodriguez is the best in the fleet. If anyone can get your ship spaceworthy again, it's him. Why? Velter asked. Why are you doing this? What do you want from us? Brooks' voice was calm. We want to help. But we also want honesty. Her tone shifted, hardening. Pirates don't disable life support. They steal. Someone wanted your ship destroyed. Not just robbed. And we think we know why. Captain Velter's mandibles twitched as he looked around at his recovering crew. Dr. Grant worked methodically, moving from one patient to the next, treating them with a precision and speed that was simply inhuman. You're saying someone wanted us dead, he said slowly. Brooks nodded. Your ship wasn't just attacked. It was sabotaged. Life support hit first. Systems deliberately crippled. That's not a pirate job. It's an execution. Before Velter could respond, the airlock opened again. Another human stepped onto the bridge, a man older than the others. His hair was gray at the temples, and his face bore the tired look of someone who had seen far too much. He wore a different uniform, marked with authority. Brooks immediately straightened. Captain Morrison, she said. Situation's under control. Morrison nodded once and turned to Velter. Captain, we've got incoming. Coalition ships. 3 cruisers and a battleship. ETA 6 hours. Velter's eyes widened. Then. We're saved. Morrison's face hardened. No. They're not coming to rescue you. We intercepted their orders. They're here to destroy your ship. Velter felt the breath leave him. That's not possible. The coalition sent us. They assigned this mission. Why would they? Because, Morrison interrupted, someone high up doesn't want your cargo to reach its destination. Someone powerful enough to send a battleship and cover it up. Brooks stepped forward. We need to know exactly what you're carrying, Captain. We scanned it, but we need confirmation. If we're going to protect you, we need the truth. Velter hesitated. But the evidence was too clear. His crew was only alive because of these humans. And now, his own government wanted them all dead. The weapon, he said at last, is called a dimensional disruptor. It manipulates space, collapses it. It can erase everything within an entire star system. Morrison and Brooks exchanged a quick, grim look. Who built it? Morrison asked. Coalition military scientists, Velter replied. It was supposed to be transported and sealed in a deep storage facility for study. It was never meant to be used. Well, Morrison said, someone clearly disagrees. Suddenly, the communications console pinged. Glix, now back at his station and recovering thanks to Dr. Grant's treatment, checked the signal. Captain, he said, voice shaking, the coalition fleet is sending a direct message. They're ordering us to prepare for boarding. Morrison gave a dry smile. Respond that the ship is under medical rescue by a human vessel. That we are providing emergency assistance. They're not going to accept that, Velter said. They'll demand the cargo. Then, Morrison said evenly, they're going to be disappointed. He turned toward Brooks. Prepare the ship for departure. Rodriguez. How long until repairs are done? Brooks tapped her comms. Rodriguez? The engineer's voice crackled back. 2 hours to make it purr like new. You've got 1, Morrison replied. Get it done. Velter watched, stunned, as the humans moved through his ship like they owned it. They worked with impossible speed and precision, repairing systems that should have taken days. Somehow, they knew where everything was. How it worked. How to fix it. How? Velter asked. How do you know our tech so well? Morrison looked at him calmly. We've been studying you. All of you. For 50 years. 50 years. The quarantine locked us inside our system, Morrison said. It didn't stop us from listening. Watching. Learning. We've been preparing for this day. The words hit Velter like a blast of cold air. These weren't just survivors. These were strategists. Planners. Predators waiting in the shadows, learning everything they could before stepping forward. Morrison and Velter walked together down a corridor, passing human engineers working with sparks flying and panels exposed. You work fast, Velter said awkwardly. We have to, Morrison replied. On Earth, if you work slow, you die. Efficiency is survival. They reached the cargo bay. Rodriguez was elbow-deep in an alien junction box, laying new power cables with practiced ease. Almost done, Captain, he said cheerfully. This ship will fly smoother than ever. Honestly? Your power systems are smart. Just need some human upgrades. Morrison turned toward the large sealed crate in the center of the bay. Warning signs in 6 languages glowed faintly on the surface. This it? He asked. Velter nodded. The disruptor. Sealed. I don't have the access codes. Morrison looked at Rodriguez. Can you crack it? Rodriguez pulled out a small toolkit and smiled. Give me 5 minutes. As Rodriguez worked, Morrison questioned Velter further. Tell me more. How does this weapon actually function? Velter took a breath. It creates a cascade failure in dimensional space. Tears open a breach. Everything inside a set radius just stops existing. No heat. No radiation. Nothing left. How big a radius? An entire system. Maybe more. Depends on calibration. Just then, Rodriguez stepped back. Done. Morrison opened the crate. Inside sat the weapon. It was no bigger than a table. Sleek. Covered in glowing symbols and humming with energy. It looked almost elegant. Morrison didn't blink. Dr. White, report to the cargo bay. A few moments later, a woman in a white lab coat entered. She was tall, sharp-eyed, and radiated focus. She circled the device slowly, scanning with a handheld unit. What do you think? Morrison asked. Dr. Karen White finally spoke. Elegant design. But, flawed. Velter blinked. What? It's a prototype, she continued. It could work. Once. Maybe twice. Then it would overload and probably destroy the ship carrying it. Velter's breath caught. That can't be right. Our best scientists built it. They understood the theory, Dr. White said calmly. But not the implementation. These power conduits here. Standard alloys. They can't handle the stress. And the targeting system, it doesn't compensate for quantum instability. It would tear itself apart trying to hold a breach open. You're saying, it would kill us? Velter asked. Almost certainly, she replied. It's a doomsday device that dooms its owners first. Morrison nodded slowly. Can it be fixed? Easily, White said without hesitation. Upgrade the materials, rewire the quantum compensators, add some real cooling systems, with the right work, it could be portable. Reusable. The calm way she said it chilled Velter to his core. You've built similar weapons. We've developed far more advanced ones, White said. This design. Primitive. Crude. We moved past it decades ago. Just then, a call came over the comms. Captain Morrison, Brooks's voice crackled through. Coalition fleet has arrived. They're demanding immediate surrender of the alien vessel. Morrison activated his mic, informed them we're providing humanitarian aid. Crew will be transferred when stabilized. They're requesting to board the vessel for inspection. Tell them the cargo was destroyed in the pirate attack. Velter turned. But the weapon is right here. Is it? Morrison asked, nodding to White. The doctor had already begun disassembling the weapon with practiced ease. How long to break it down? 10 minutes, she said, not looking up. Should I record the specs? Of course. Full analysis. Velter stood helpless as the humans calmly took apart a weapon that had cost the Coalition billions. Every component was tagged, scanned, documented. You're stealing it, he said. We're documenting a damaged artifact, Morrison replied. The Coalition will get the broken parts. We'll keep the blueprint. Rodriguez entered again. Ship's good to go. New cores installed, engines running at 120% of specs. 120%. Velter said in disbelief. Your builders played it safe, Rodriguez said with a grin. We play to win. The comms pinged again. Captain, Admiral Keith from the Coalition fleet is requesting direct communication. Patch him in, Morrison said. A deep voice crackled over the speakers. This is Admiral Keith of the Coalition Navy. Human vessel, you are interfering in Coalition matters. Withdraw immediately. Morrison was calm. We're performing a medical rescue. Crew will be transferred once stabilized. We demand access to inspect the cargo. There is no cargo, Admiral. Only wreckage. A long pause. Then, you will allow us to board your ship. Morrison looked to Brooks, who shook her head slightly. I'm afraid that's not possible, Morrison replied. Human vessels are sovereign territory. But you are welcome to inspect the rescued ship once we transfer it. This is your final warning. Withdraw, or face the consequences. Morrison calmly ended the transmission. Then he turned to Velter. Captain, you've got a decision to make. You can go with them, and probably disappear in an accident next week. Or you can come with us. Learn the truth about who really tried to kill you. And why. Velter looked around at his crew, alive, recovering, confused and scared. They had trusted the Coalition all their lives. But right now, the only ones who had truly saved them were the humans. I need time. You've got 30 minutes, Morrison said. After that, we leave, with or without you. 25 minutes later, Captain Velter stood in the docking bay of the Iron Resolve, flanked by his crew. Every one of them had chosen to go. None of them could quite explain why, maybe it was desperation, or maybe it was the humans themselves. They had saved lives, restored systems, and told uncomfortable truths. Whatever the reason, the scientists from the Celestial Dawn now placed their fate in the hands of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The interior of the Iron Resolve was unlike anything Velter had ever seen. Wide corridors designed for rapid troop movement. Mounted weapons at every junction. Lighting optimized for combat readiness. And yet, the atmosphere wasn't oppressive. The humans were polite, even kind. Some offered food and water. Others provided blankets. Their precision was military, but their conduct was not cruel. Morrison led the group to a large conference room. A long table sat in the center, surrounded by sleek chairs. Tactical screens lined the walls, displaying Coalition fleet movements, information that should have been classified at the highest level. Please, Morrison said, gesturing. Make yourselves comfortable. We've got a lot to talk about. Before they could sit, the ship's intercom came alive. Captain Morrison, Admiral Keith is requesting permission to come aboard. Morrison raised an eyebrow. Of course. Full diplomatic honors. Velter blinked. You're going to let him board? Why not? Morrison said casually. He's welcome to visit. 20 minutes later, Admiral Keithmore entered the room. He was tall, commanding, one of the Zentari, with deep violet skin and 6 arms folded neatly behind his back. His uniform gleamed with metals, and his eyes scanned the room with calculated intensity. 2 armored guards flanked him. Captain Morrison, he boomed. Return the stolen Coalition property immediately. Morrison stood, smiling slightly. Admiral. Please, have a seat. Coffee? It's a human beverage. Quite popular. I'm not here for refreshments, Keithmore growled. Return the dimensional disruptor. I'm afraid I don't know what you mean, Morrison replied calmly. We recovered a damaged vessel with some broken equipment. Nothing that looked like a functional weapon. Our sensors picked up the energy signature, Keithmore insisted. Morrison poured himself a cup of coffee. Sensors can be faulty, Admiral. Perhaps what you detected was the power core. Dr. White found it fascinating. White didn't even glance up from her tablet. Interesting design. Very unstable. It collapsed shortly after analysis. Keithmore's face darkened. Do not play games with me. The Coalition Navy has surrounded your ship. You cannot escape. Morrison stepped to the window, gazing out at the fleet. Velter counted a dozen ships, including Keithmore's massive flagship. Impressive, Morrison said. Almost half of the Coalition's Third Fleet. I imagine your superiors are very concerned. Keithmore narrowed his eyes. How do you know our fleet composition? Morrison turned with a thin smile. We know a lot of things, Admiral. For instance, we know your flagship, the Righteous Victory, has a structural flaw in the port engine. One missile in the right place would disable the entire ship. You're threatening us. Just sharing information. Morrison tapped a button on the table. A holographic display appeared, detailed schematics of Coalition ships. The cruiser Silent Thunder lit up. See this, he said. Your shield generators are defective. Under sustained fire, they'll fail within minutes. Another button press revealed the destroyer Fast Strike. Almost half its missile systems have faulty guidance. Poor quality control. Keithmore was visibly shaken. This data is classified, he said. How could you have it? We have complete technical specifications for every Coalition vessel, Morrison replied. Weapon systems, crew rotations, maintenance schedules. We even know which of your officers are corrupt, and which ones are considering retirement. He tapped again. Admiral Keithmore's personal file appeared in the hologram. We know your son wants to be an artist. That your wife is sick. That you're considering retirement, but can't afford to yet. Keithmore's guards shifted, but Morrison raised a hand. Easy, gentlemen. Just a professional discussion. Another display lit up, a star map marked with red indicators. These are all your bases, Admiral. Research outposts. Command centers. Supply lines. We know their layouts. Defenses. Personnel counts. Everything. Dr. White finally looked up. We've also been monitoring your secret programs. Time manipulation. AI development. Biological weapons. Fascinating work. Keithmore looked between them, his expression hardening. What are you trying to say? You came to destroy a research vessel and blame pirates, Morrison said. Now you know the truth. We've been watching you. Studying you. Planning for every possibility. And what do you want? Peace, Morrison said. Leave Earth alone. Keep us quarantined. We don't want war, Admiral. But we are very good at it. Keithmore hesitated, then asked the question they'd all been waiting for. Have humans become more dangerous than we believed? Far more, Morrison said. You quarantined us to protect the galaxy from Earth. But in doing so, you gave us 50 years to prepare. Dr. White added, the dimensional disruptor. We gave up on that design decades ago. Too unstable. We've made better. Keithmore glanced at Velter, who had remained silent. Then back at Morrison. What happens now? You return with Velter and his crew. You bring this. Morrison held up a small data drive, to your superiors. Proof of General Thixvar's treason. The orders to destroy the Celestial Dawn didn't come from the Coalition. They came from someone selling secrets to the hegemony. Velter gasped. That's impossible. Thixvar sent us on this mission. He planned to sell the weapon, Morrison said. When he realized it might get stolen first, he decided to destroy the evidence, including you. Keithmore stared at the data in Morrison's hand. And in exchange? Continued isolation, Morrison said. The Coalition declares the weapon project a failure. Earth remains officially primitive and contained. But now, some of you know the truth. Keithmore looked down. And if I refuse to go along with this? Morrison's expression didn't change, but the room's atmosphere chilled. Then the galaxy learns the truth. That the quarantine wasn't to protect you from us, but to protect us from the temptation to rule. Dr. White spoke again. Conquest is inefficient. Short-lived. We prefer a more strategic approach. Mercy, when it works. Precision, when it doesn't. Keithmore studied the humans in the room, their casual posture, their calm tone, the terrifying confidence behind every word. I understand, he said finally. The quarantine continues. Humanity remains forgotten. But you'll be watching. We always watch, Morrison replied. And we respond when good people call for help. That's what makes us dangerous. Not our weapons, but our willingness to act. As the Coalition fleet turned away, the iron resolve drifted silently in the void. Velter stood beside Morrison on the bridge, watching the stars. Will they keep your secret? He asked. For now, Morrison said. But secrets tend to spread. He took a deep breath and stared out into the blackness. When the galaxy finally learns what humanity really is, we'll find out if 50 years of preparation was enough.